And I must admit, I have struggled. I've gone back and forth on, should I share this episode? I do not believe that you can do what I do. I do not believe I can do what you do. I do not believe I can take, rinse, and repeat what other people have done, where we applaud and we clap for those we see winning, but we'll learn the most from those when we understand their journey and how they got there. When we focus on time as a finite resource, what that leads to us is having a mindset of scarcity. That stops us from moving forward because we focus our attention on how long is this going to take. It delays our movement. It was more around what do I need to do? What are the steps I need to take to help elevate me? I knew that forward leap, that first one, which was painful, hurt, uncomfortable, but it moved me forward. And then I took another one. How do you go from 25 pounds an hour to 100x that number in 10 years or less? That's what we're going to talk about today in Everyday Leadership. Welcome. Today you have me, and I must admit, I have struggled. I've gone back and forth on, should I share this episode? Should I talk about this? I don't tend to talk about numbers or financials or things like that. But I felt convicted to. I have this saying, this quote, where we applaud and we clap for those we see winning, but we'll learn the most from those when we understand, from those who we understand their journey and how they got there. And what that means is a lot of times it's the process that's more important. It's a process that's more relevant. And I say that, and then I counteract that with, I do not believe that you can do what I do. I do not believe I can do what you do. I do not believe I can take, rinse, and repeat what other people have done. But I do believe you can learn a lot about the mindset, the mentality, and the different ways that people have gone about elevating what looks like growth, progress, and success in their individual lives, and take those elements, add that to your experience, and then you can go and do your own thing. That's what I believe. And fundamentally, that's what everyday leadership stands for. It's about how do we learn from people's lives, how they lead themselves both personally and professional day in, day out. The accolades are great and they're nice, but they come and they go. There's so many people I've talked to who have won awards, who have built unicorn companies, who are worth over $1 billion. And they talk about how empty all of that is. Whereas what they talk about in terms of what's been real for them has been around their friends, their family, their relationships. And actually it's been about some of the struggle. That's what they remember. That's what they hold on to. So over the weekend, I mean, my wife were clearing out, doing some work in our house. And we came across some very old statements, pay slips from when I used to work in corporate. And in fact, I found my last proper contract, and it's actually about a year, over the year. It is 11 years, 11 years to the day of when I said yes. And that role that I walked into took me from, I think at that point in time I was earning just over 30K to earning just over 50K. Almost double my salary, which at that point in time was absolutely unheard of, felt absolutely amazing. But at the same time, I had 2 kids in private school, a mortgage to pay for, and so much more stuff. So it was still tough. And yet, going from earning circa, I think 25 at the start, I walked up to 25 because I had pay rises all the way throughout and I got promotions all the way throughout quite quickly. I think when I came in, it was like £23 an hour. And now when I do keynote talks, I charge, no, 100x. I charge more than 100x for that. I would charge you 5K for a keynote talk for an hour. And yeah, I was earning £25 plus an hour just circa 10 years ago. And it seems like it's radical, seems like it's absolutely crazy. And the reason why I wanted to share those numbers and share that reality with you, it links back to something I've been thinking about a lot recently. I've been talking a lot about it with clients, and it's around that time versus energy. See, a lot of times we think about things in time. Time is a finite resource. Yep. And when we focus on time as a finite resource, what that leads to us is having a mindset of scarcity. And when we have a mindset of scarcity, that stops us from moving forward because we focus our attention on how long is this going to take? How much time is this going to take? And therefore that weight holds us from stepping forward. It delays our movement. And when we stop looking at it as how long this is going to take, and instead we start to focus on the power of momentum, the power of energy, things begin to shift and move very, very differently. I can attest to that. When I was earning this money many, many years ago, I knew that I needed to earn a lot more to feel financially better so I can actually pay my bills comfortably. So that I could feel like I could handle the different responsibilities in my house. I can do a lot more stuff. That was on my mind. And me thinking about how long was this going to take was not a factor. It was more around what do I need to do? What are the steps I need to take to help elevate me? Now, I didn't think I was going to earn what I earn now. I didn't think I was going to do what I do now. That was not the plan. But it was more around the fact that I knew I did not want to be where I was. Even though going from 30 to 50K is absolutely almost double, like I said, absolutely unheard of, especially at that point in time. And it felt great. But that wasn't like, yep, I've made it and done. It was like, no, there's more to come. There's more I wanted to do. I remember when we got married, and me and my wife had, I say all the time, we were poor. We were not poor, we were poor. As I stepped down, and I remember I used to say to her, when we had our son, baby, we're going to get out of this. Baby, we're going to get out of this. Baby, we didn't have nothing. In fact, my first job was at Barclays. I was earning £11,500. She wasn't working at that time because we just come out of university, and we also had our son really, really early on. So she was not working. It was just all of me, 11K. A house, renting, a brand new kid to look after, the recession happening. Can you imagine? There was hardly anything coming to our pockets. And I should tell her, we're going to get through this. We're going to get through this. We're going to get through this. And over the years, I've asked her, like, why did you believe me? Because our circumstances did not say anything whatsoever in line with what the words that were coming out of my mouth. Why is it that you believe me and you had the faith I would go? She's like, because I knew you were. I knew your strength of character. Even before we got married, I've seen you move and operate. And you're someone, when you say you're going to do something, you're going to do something. And those words have always stayed with me. Because when I think about energy, when I think about forward momentum, that's what drove me. That's what moved me from those numbers where I was then to where I am right now. And bearing in mind, like I say, I wasn't driven by the numbers. I didn't know what numbers I was going to be right now. But I knew that I wanted a better life for my family. And therefore, I was willing to sacrifice. I was willing to do things very, very different to people. I took a lot of leaps outside my comfort zone because I knew that forward leap, that first one, which was painful, hurt, uncomfortable, but it moved me forward. And then I took another one, and then took another one. And that is what momentum is all about. It's that constant motion. It's that forward movement that can take you from where you are right now to where you want to be. It moves it from looking at it from a, what's the right word to use? Scarcity mindset, more to a ripple effect kind of mentality. See, when one is deeply immersed in the pursuit of progress, something remarkable happens. Time becomes your ally. It's no longer your enemy, it becomes an ally. Because with the focus on momentum, you find that you advance significantly quicker towards your goal. You ever been in an office or at home and you're waiting for that clock and it just ticks and ticks, and you look up again, there's only a second pass. You look up again, there's only a minute pass, and it ticks and ticks. When you're doing something you don't love, something you don't enjoy, time drags. And because you're constantly looking at the time and not focused on what you're doing, that's what happens. But when you love what you're doing, you look up 3 o'clock. You look up again, it's 4 o'clock. It's like, wow, an hour passed just like that. I didn't feel it. Because you're not focused on the time, you're focused on the work at hand. And that's the difference. It's not about the time. Time's going to fly past one way, shape, or form. But where are you? Where's your energy focused? Where's your attention focused? That's the difference. And thinking about it in this way, you think about progress. There are a lot of things that we do. In fact, I remember someone, I think it was the IG creators, I've forgotten their names now. And they talked about the love and the joy they had when they came up with IG, and it wasn't called IG at the start. And how they used to lose themselves in the work and the building the platform and all that kind of stuff, and how joyful it was. And they look up and they first got rejected and then they got brought over and all that bits and pieces. But they were like, the length of time it took them from when they built the platform to when they sold the platform, it felt like a split second. It wasn't. It was a lot of time, it was a lot of effort, it was not easy at all, a lot of pain and struggle. But it felt that way because they didn't focus on the time. They didn't focus on we want to sell this thing. They focused on the love of the tech and building something new and bringing that to the world. That's the difference. The journey towards any goal is not merely a function of time, but a testament. I want to say it again, a testament to energy and the forward momentum that you invest in it. So when you shift your focus from looking at the clock and focus on the journey itself, but instead focusing on what you can do and where your energy is flowing to, you can unleash amazing potential and you can make strides towards what you want to accomplish. I believe with every fiber being in my body whatsoever, that every single person has a unique calling. You have a unique calling. And when you choose to walk in that unique calling, that's when time no longer becomes an issue. And that's when you start to move in forward momentum. But for you to step into that unique calling, it's also going to require you sacrificing something. And that sacrifice could be games. It could be friends. Sometimes it could be family. Sometimes it could be social media. It could be whatever that looks like. There's always a sacrificial element involved. I remember when I was building and going from the first year at Johnson Controls, when I got the contract in 2012, to over the next 3 years, my forward momentum was, in fact, the first one of the major things I did was I paid off my student loans. Like I said, I had mortgage, 2 kids in private school, all that kind of stuff. So it was like, when someone asked me, why do you want to pay off student loans now? You don't have to. There's no big stress in it. Why did you pay off student loans? I was like, for me, it's the biggest thing I have right now that I can use as a marker for me that I'm moving forward. So I want to pay off my student loans. And when I did it, it felt absolutely amazing. But here's the funny thing. I shared that with 2 of my friends and they shared it in a wider group. And it became this thing like, rah, man can pay off his student loans. What about me? It encouraged other people to do something. And that's why I really wanted to share about me going from earning £25 10, 11 years ago to over 100x that 10, 11 years later. Because someone said to me yesterday, a lot of times when you do stuff, you don't talk about it. And the talking about it is not about you bragging. The talking about it is you showing other people that it is possible, that it can be done. And that's an example of representation that we don't think about too often. And that stayed with me. I'm like, you know what? You're right. That's why I get people on podcasts to share their stories and their journey. There are amazing people doing amazing things. And I want to hear about their process. I want to hear about their journey. I want to hear about their relationship. I want to hear about their struggles. So why don't I share mine? That progress from 23 to 25, I'm just going to double back. £23 to £25, which worked out to circa, I think 5 or 10K increase over like 18 months, meant that I went from working in a role that I was employed for to working in a role that did not exist. In 18 months, my future of my manager at that point in time created a new role for me because I had carved out a niche for myself. I had stepped into another role, which was not mine. I took over that role, but I grabbed it with both hands. So I created a niche for myself, and she saw me just moving and moving and moving. And she's like, we need to keep him. So let me separate my team so I can give him an area of responsibility, give him the team to look after, and that we can give him more money. Now that was a good leader because she saw that, what can I do to help keep this guy motivated, to keep him engaged, to give him something very, very different. And then also, I don't have to manage the team directly. I can just manage him and look after the rest of the team. It was a very, very different way. I mean, she got pushed back for doing that because it was unheard of for that point in time. But again, great leader. It's not about that. It's about how do you keep on elevating yourself and moving forward and moving forward. So I was moving forward in my career, not even me as a entrepreneur. I was moving forward in my career, and that forward momentum to pay my paying off my student loans, and then hustling along the way to make money in different ways and spaces and places, so I could pay for the different bills that I had because what I had wasn't enough. Kept me going, and it was challenging. It was tough. After that, I moved from Projector Controls, started my own company. First one I did went really, really well. Then I had some challenges. Felt God called me, started something else, again, from ground zero. In that 10, 11 years, I've taken probably 3 massive leaps of faith. Every single time I've done it, apart from my wife, a lot of people have asked me the question, what the hell are you doing? Why are you doing that? What you got right now is patent. What you got right now is great. That seems very risky, seems very stupid. It's the wrong time. I've had that so many times. But that forward momentum, faith, my wife, forward momentum, and that energy is what's moved me from where I am, or where I was, to where I am right now. So I say all that to say this. Stop looking at time. You looking at time does not move you forward. You looking at time does not shift anything in your life. You focusing on what you can do, what you can focus on, what you can pour your energy into, what can make you just take the next step, and that's the key. That's what your viewpoint should be. The journey is not easy. I never sugarcoated anything. It is not easy. And whether you're in a corporate life, whether you're an entrepreneur, whether you're doing absolutely nothing and just chilling, it doesn't make a difference. We all have something in our life that we want to focus on. That can be like, you know what, I want to spend time and energy on my relationship and work hard at it. Because that's the most amount of energy that you need. It's not about the time. That was purely about energy. What does that look like for you? That's my question that I want you to think about. What does that look like for you? Where are you currently focused on wasting time, and what you need to focus your energy on? How do you step into your own greatness, into your own story? How do you take complete charge of your life in every single area? This was a massive shock for me when I looked at the timeline that it took me to go from where I was then to where I'm right now. I'm not even where I want to be. There's so many things I want to accomplish, and 2024 is going to be an absolutely amazing year, no doubt. But I say all that to just remind you, greatness is internal. I said it. Greatness is internal. Greatness is how you lead yourself. Greatness is how you show up for yourself. Greatness is that inside voice that keeps you pushing forward. Isn't it about time you stepped into your greatness?